Good morning, everyone. Kelly coming to you from Northern Saskatchewan, as always. This morning, I just want to do a short video. I'm trying to do more of these short videos as I'm inspired, as opposed to just longer-winded ones. This is a topic I hadn't planned on talking about at all. I do have a list of topics. It's not on my list. However, I was feeling inspired this morning, so I figured I might as well. I left my partner's work after dropping him off and noticed for the first time that we have an Army and Navy and Air Force Veterans Hall, a Legion, Royal Canadian Legion Hall across the street. And I'd never seen it before, and I mean, they're all over Canada. This is not an unusual sight by any stretch, so you wouldn't normally think much of it. But when I drove by, I saw the poppy on the sign, and something hit me in the feels, and I couldn't shake it while I was driving home. It got me thinking about our veterans, and it got me thinking about how we treat our veterans, how our government treats our veterans, how the citizens treat our veterans, and really whether anybody cares about them at all anymore. And it just made me feel really sad and kind of rotten because, to be honest, as a young person, I admit that I have gotten away from remembering the sacrifice of these people that came before me. Growing up in school, especially in Canada, it was very common. I mean, every year you were forced to go to the Remembrance Day, November 11th ceremony at 11 o'clock. We had a minute of silence. I was an air cadet, so I did this even more than regular school kids because of that aspect. I remember laying the wreaths and saying a prayer and singing O Canada. I remember having different members from the various cadet groups standing in uniform in pure stillness and silence with their guns, hands on the top of their guns, posted, head down in solemnness and solidarity. Pretty incredible, pretty unifying and sombering, yes, but very, very unifying. And it always felt really patriotic at the end. And it was something I was always proud of. And we always wore a poppy, and I still wear a poppy sometimes, but it's not very common. And if I'm honest, I don't see very many around anymore. I see a lot of people my parents' age and people above that wearing poppies, talking about Remembrance Day, going to the services, but this is just not as common of a thing. And I know there's probably tons of people like me who left school and just left it all behind. And I think that's a crying shame. I'm a little bit ashamed. I feel kind of guilty about it. And I personally would like to make a commitment from here forward to go to Remembrance Day services, to honor that moment of silence, that minute of silence, to listen to the last post, to feel uncomfortable for a minute, and to take in and absorb the gratitude that I have for living in this beautiful country. We have our problems, and I'm worried about the direction that we're headed. But part of what I'm worried about is because we're losing the memory of our culture, including these memories of our veterans, and including the current veterans that we have that we don't even realize are sacrificing for us right now as I say these words. Now, back in the day when they did, when veterans had to go through World War I and World War II, like, I don't think we can fathom what they had to deal with. I don't think we can fathom what kind of oppression that actually was, what kind of trauma we're talking about. But it was hefty and immense. And these people, these young people, were incredibly brave. And of course, we hear this and we talk about it, but nobody seems to care anymore. And that's just, to me, is a crying shame. And I would really like to see young people, particularly people my age and younger. I am a millennial. I don't like to talk about it because I don't identify as a millennial. I actually identify, if we're going to get into this, as a Gen X, and it's 2018. So I can identify with whatever generation I would like. But I am a millennial, and it's embarrassing to say, but I am. And, I think us young people do need to think about this more. I think it's exceptionally important. No matter how far away you get from an event, you can't get so far that you forget. There's an old saying, of course, lest we forget. And it came to my mind this morning, and I don't want to forget, and I don't want anyone else to forget. I truly believe that if we as a young people lose this, if a whole generation loses this memory and this reverence for what happened and these people, we are heading down a very dark path. And we will lose our culture, because while our prime minister does not feel that we have an identity, we do. And I'm very worried we're going to lose it. I think this is an important part of keeping it. I think it's also important to notice that even though there is a bit of a hate on for white men these days, a lot of the people, obviously not all, we have Aboriginals and many people of different faiths and refugees and immigrants that fought in our war with us, alongside us as Canadians. But a lot of them, of course, given the time period and demographic, were white men. And I think it's important to recognize that these men did great things. And I just want to make sure that they're not forgotten, and that we aren't just making heroes of a lot of people nowadays and just ignoring the real heroes of our past. So to finish this off, I would like to do something a little cheesy. You're welcome to peace out now if you're not in the mood to listen, but I would like to sing my national anthem because it's not something I've sang in a long time, and because I'm a singer and it's an easy way to express my own love for my country. I'm going to have to back up here a bit because I don't have my singing mic set up, so I'm going to be way too loud and probably cause some crackling. So here we go. And I am singing the original version. I mean, I know it's been changed like 4 times, but the original version as I learned it in, 1990, 1 or whatever in kindergarten. So I'm going to sing that version because I'm not a feminist and I don't feel offended by saying, oh, my sons command instead of all of us command. I also hope one day that they don't take God out of our national anthem, but I have a feeling that might be next. So anyway, I'm going to sing it as is. Feel free to join in. Feel free to listen. Feel free to peace out. If you are, have a good day. If not, please join or please just enjoy. This is a pure expression of my love for my country. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Blessings to you all. As usual, be good to each other, not because the government tells you to, but because you want to. Take good care.